All right. We are here. We're back, moving people to action. And we are so excited that you have tuned in. Folk are watching on various platforms, on Facebook Live. Some people are here in the Zoom. Other people are sharing through other apparatuses. And we are just so excited that you are tuned in. And we've got a great panelist today, Pastor Dwayne Hawkins, who is both pastor of a local church here in Omaha, Nebraska, the Antioch Baptist Church there in South Omaha. He also is the president of New Era Baptist Church, which represents 26 churches here in the area, Baptist churches, National Baptist. And then, of course, we have Brian Cruz, who gives great leadership to the Election Commission. He's been doing his job now for several years, been doing an awesome job, has turned that place around, and is here tonight to answer questions. And then, of course, we have your infamous host, Tim Clark, who has pulled all this together. And Tim, we just appreciate your insight, your wisdom. He is the master networker.
Man, I'm just trying to be a vehicle.
Yes,
I'm just
sir.
trying to do my part. Yeah.
So, folk, we're back, and we want to make certain that we make best use of our time. So we're going to jump right back in. We've had some great discussion in the first half. We want to deal with some practical things. So we've got some stuff on the ballot coming up here. That is very important, that people really need to understand the language, because when you get in that booth and you start reading all this and you're saying, should I vote for this or should I vote against that? A lot of people are they're scratching their heads. And I think you even had some folk, Tim, who did a call a friend, hey, Tim, how should I vote on this? What does this mean? And what does that mean? So we want to talk a little bit about that. But before I do, I want to let you know that you can start voting now. As of Monday, the polls are open. Monday, October the 5th, the polls open. You are able to go to the Douglas County Elections Commission out there off of 120th and Center, right out there behind Nobby's. Great facility. Listen, the staff there are well trained, very polite, whether you call them or whether you're there in person. Everyone is so very helpful. He's got a great team, and it's all COVID sensitive. So when you walk in, you've got the Purell, and you're wearing masks, and you're doing the social distancing and all that stuff. So you don't have to fear and worry about that. And listen, the lines are not very long. I went and I voted today. I initially was going to do my mail-in ballot. My family, they're doing that. But I decided, I wasn't going to send my card. And I said, I want to go in person. And I went there and had a wonderful experience and got it all done. So you can go there. Now, Brian, just to be clear, I want to make certain that I don't give any inaccurate information. They can go to the Election Commission to vote now, but when it comes to their actual polling place, when do they start going there?
So polling places are only open on election day, which is November 3rd, and polling places are open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And again, you can go to our website, and if you go to that, find your voting information, it'll give you the name of your polling place, a picture of your polling place, and it'll tell you where you vote at inside of that building. Good. Now, if you want to come to our office, we are open to the public from 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, and we will be open one Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and it should be real easy to remember. It's Halloween. It's Saturday, October 31st, so Halloween will be open 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
All right. So that's good information, and I really encourage everyone to do just as Brian has advised. Go to the website, because on the website you can check. So there's no ambiguity. There is no question. The last thing you want to do is on November 3rd is wonder where you're supposed to go and be wandering around trying to figure it out. So go there in advance, find out exactly where you're supposed to be going, where your polling place is, so that there's no question whatsoever. All right. So go ahead, Brian.
I just said absolutely. And again, if for some reason you don't have access to the internet, please just call our office at 444-VOTE. We're happy to help.
All right. So there is one item on the ballot there, Tim, that a lot of people are not aware of. There's a couple items. I want to get to that one in just a moment, but this one in particular, it is the Initiative 428, which specifically speaks to payday lending. A lot of people don't realize that there are predatory lenders out there who are taking advantage of vulnerable people
That's right.
and taking advantage of individuals who, just are trying to make ends meet, just don't have enough money to pay their bills each month. And so they go to places like payday lending and they do an advance and get these monies and what have you. And they don't realize that they are paying on an average 387% APR for a small amount of money.
That's
These
crazy.
short-term loans, 387%. It is highway robbery. They're taking advantage of people, and people are getting caught in this cycle. And the fact is, they don't have the money in the first place, so they're struggling to pay it back with all this
Right.
interest. And so it becomes a perpetual cycle. So through some legislative, workings and petitions that have been signed and people advocating, this has been going on for the past several years now. We're able to get this on the ballot. And so now it's in the hands of the people to vote. And so what's on the ballot is to reduce that APR to no more than 36%. Did you hear what I just said? It's from 387% down to no more than 36%.
Wow.
That's huge. So people, as you go in and you're voting, the presidential and all these other things, make certain you pay close attention. I'm not going to tell you how to vote, but common sense is common sense. 387% down to no more than 36%. So you can vote for or you can vote against. To vote for means that you want this. You are voting to have this changed, to reduce it from the 387% APR down to 36%. So that is Initiative 428. You'll see that on your ballot. Every last one of you will have that on your ballot. Did I miss anything on that, Brian?
No, that's right. And every single ballot will have the 2 proposed constitutional amendments and the 4 ballot initiatives.
Now, if they, like you just explained that, Reverend Tony, can they call the office or could we share from the panelists in terms of just who might they call if they have questions about a particular issue that's on the ballot that's going to be for or against? Who do they go to?
It's tough. The League of Women Voters have a guide here in our office that they can pick up. I'm pretty sure the League of Women Voters also have an online guide. Beyond that, probably researching online. I'm not sure if the churches have a mechanism to help with these things, Pastor Hawkins.
I'd certainly be willing to have an offline conversation to see what we can do to increase the communication on that.
So I do have some information that I can send to you, Pastor Hawkins, that you actually, churches and pastors are encouraged and have been encouraged to put these leaflets and or this language in their bulletins. Now, of course, churches, because of COVID, many are not having in-person service. Or bulletins, and so therefore you have to rely upon technology and what have you. And there's definitely ways that you can do that. So I can send some of that information to you, and you can coordinate with at minimal the churches there within the new era. But what is very important, as Brian stated, is that folk do research, Tim, is that they go online and just Google it. There are interest groups out there and there are lobbyist groups and what have you. But you can go online and type in amendment number 2, for Nebraska, and it will give you the exact language. Brian also stated that on the website, you can see a sample of the ballots. So this ballot, since we're talking about amendment number 2.
Sure.
This is a vote for this constitutional amendment would amend the Nebraska Constitution to authorize the legislature to extend the maximum length of time for the repayment. Oh, you know what? That's actually the wrong one.
We're proposed amendment 2 basically extends TIF, tech increment financing repayment from 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
And
Right.
TIF, just real quick, the way I understand TIF, I'm not an expert, I'm not a lawyer by any means, but TIF often is used to help blighted or under developed areas. I think is it the project on is it North 24th Street there? I believe there was TIF money used for that, either North 24th or North 30th or maybe both, actually. So developers often use this, and
It's
so
a great tool for developers. Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly to help redevelop. So that's proposed amendment number 2. I will say from the 4 ballot initiatives and the 2 proposed amendments, if you take the time to read them, they are fairly straightforward this year. You know, sometimes in the past we've had this almost like a double negative where, you know, it means the opposite of what you think.
Right.
These this year are all pretty straightforward, and you know, I think pretty easy to understand.
And so I understand there's 3 different things that's speaking to gambling.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
So
That's
initiative
429, 30, and 431.
right, and 439 changes the Constitution to allow gambling.
429.
Or 429, excuse me. 430 basically establishes a Nebraska Gaming Commission, is essentially what that does. And then 431, it talks about the taxes and how the revenue from the casinos, you know, will be put in different funds between state, local, and different initiatives from that.
Right.
Now, one of the things, I mean, with Pastor Hawkins and Brian, you know, with this whole notion that, you know, there's going to be a disruption, you know, or that people will cheat the system, and you know, I mean, what assurances, or community-wise, from your perspective, Pastor Hawkins, and then Brian, from a election commissioner, of safety measures that you have in place just to make sure people, you know, their right to vote is not going to be tampered with, or they're not going to be harassed while they're in line. You know, because some people, I have some friends, they like, I'm going to physically be there and I want to cast my vote on that day.
Tim, I think that's a very important issue to raise, because when you listen to the national rhetoric, it would lead people to the conclusion of why vote. And all of these obscure examples that are given. And I think that it's important to place confidence in what Brian Cruz is telling us, and echo that same sentiment from our areas of influence throughout the community, particularly on a local perspective, to know that I can walk in to the commission and vote if I don't want to request an early ballot, or if I lost my green card, or, you know, whatever the case may be, and I don't want to wait in those long lines, to know that I can go in any day of the week during daytime hours and cast my ballot directly with the commission. these are the types of things that build confidence in the system. And when we hear things like checking signatures for the ballot request and checking it against the actual ballot, those are the types of things that build confidence in the community. And when we hear those things from Brian Cruz and from our elected officials, it gives us opportunity for people of influence in the community to share those same things. And so I just want to use this opportunity to encourage everybody in the process that there are great pains that have been taken in Douglas County to ensure that your vote counts simply by following these things. And I think we have to do that more because the national rhetoric has a loud platform, and you would think those obscure examples that are given are nationwide, when in fact that's not the case. 99% of the people that vote they'll get counted. You know, we heard that from Brian Cruz, and so that's how I would respond to that.
Yeah.
We need confidence and integrity.
Yeah, and just before you weigh in on that, Brian, just we have a quick question that we want to from just our gallery want to answer. Do you have to vote for all three in 429 in order for it to pass?
I don't think you have to vote for, no, you can vote for as many or as few as you can vote for whatever you want, and you don't have to vote for what you don't want to on the ballot. Do all three of them have to pass in order for gambling to happen in Nebraska? I'm not, somebody else has asked me that, and I'm researching that. That part I don't know. But an individual voter does not have to vote for all three. They can vote for whatever they like. But I'm not 100% sure, you know, if all three have to pass in order for gambling to happen. Now, I am fairly confident in saying the constitutional amendment 429 must pass in order for gambling to happen. Now, the other two, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure on that. But I am confident in saying 429, the constitutional amendment must pass in order for gambling to happen in Nebraska.
Just real quick, Brian, another question, because we want folks to send us questions for the panelists and so we can get more questions, get more audience engagement. But this question is in terms of just the election boxes. Have you removed or you're adding? Kind of, are we seeing in other cities that really they've been very, I think, really just they're being removed, and I think they're being really stupid about it. But we'll talk to what's happening here.
Sure. So before this election, we had 9. We looked at our statistics because we track which boxes and how many, and we can even track which zip codes go in which boxes, and we can track which zip codes folks are returning their ballots by mail or by drop box. So we looked at our statistics and we made the determination, or I made the determination with my team, to add 4 more drop boxes for this election. And we're constantly evaluating this. You know, I can't say for sure.
How many? We have 13 now.
13 now, exactly, around Douglas County. Adding? Possibly. We'll constantly look at the statistics and see which ones are utilized, where there may be a need, and how much they're being utilized. So I wouldn't rule it out.
So Brian, just real quick before we've got some other folk that's joining us, what I was referring to earlier, my eyes got crossed and I started reading proposed amendment number 2. Yeah. So is there a real thing on this ballot for proposed amendment number 1, special issues ballot 279, and that's speaking, of course, on slavery and what have you.
Right, and I wanted to be sure and mention that before we left. I didn't know when the right time was, but I think a proposed amendment number 1, I don't know who in their right mind would vote against it. It's a no-brainer, but I believe Senator Justin Wayne brought this forth. But it says a constitutional amendment to eliminate slavery or involuntary servitude as a punishment for a crime. So obviously it's an age-old punishment. I guess it's still on the books. But like I said, it's a no-brainer. You can vote against it. I don't know who would, but we'll see what happens. But yes, it's to actually end slavery or involuntary servitude here in Nebraska, and that's proposed amendment number 1.
And one of the reasons why I think it's very important for us to bring this up so that people are aware and they're clear on the language, because sometimes, once again, in that you're moving pretty quickly, you can end up choosing the wrong thing because you don't understand the language or the ramifications. But this speaks to the fact when we were talking earlier about the importance of voting. See, when there's things like this on the ballot, or where there's old laws that are antiquated and need to be changed, this is why people need to go to the poll and need to have their voice heard by way of their votes. It's wonderful that people will get out and protest. That's wonderful. Exercise your right. But after the protest, there needs to be policy changes. There needs to be, some protocols that are being addressed and what have you. And so for all those people that were exercising their right to protest and to voice their concerns on the streets and what have you, here now is that next layer, that next step to go to the poll and actually change legislation. I think Pastor Hawkins has. Go ahead, Brian. Respond to that. Then Pastor Hawkins has something, and then Tim, we're going to introduce Preston Love and Jay Myers. Is that cool?
Yep, right on.
All right, Brian Cruz.
So I was just going to say, absolutely. Be sure your voice is heard. You've talked about the Brenda Council, 800 votes. In the May primary, in County Commissioner District Ward 4, Mike Boyle and Roger Garcia race. Mr. Boyle. Commissioner Boyle ended up winning by 3 votes, and that was just in May. So, I mean, if you don't think your vote matters, I always tell people, ask Mike Boyle about that, but more importantly, ask Roger Garcia about that.
Right.
And the other thing I just wanted to say quickly was, we do strive to be nonpartisan and serve everybody here, and we try not to get into issues in that, but I'm very comfortable in saying on that proposed amendment 1, I mean, again, I'm not going to tell people how to vote for that, but it's very straightforward, and I don't know who in their right mind would vote against it.
Indeed. Pastor Hawkins has something he wanted to share, but later, Preston, we see that you are on, and Preston is a wealth of information, great advocate in our community. He has a long list.
I call him the Godfather.
He is that and then some. He's all those things. But one thing, Preston, if you could address when we do get to you, there's a lot of people who have strong opinions, and Tim and I were kind of dialoguing on this in our opening exchange. But people have very strong opinions about the county attorney, and many people don't realize that position is an elected position. Is that not accurate? You vote; he's voted into office, and so for those who are either happy with him or unhappy with him, you can make a decision now, not in this general election, but in the, of course, in May, not of this upcoming year, but the following year. Is it?
In 2022, that office will be on the ballot. That's
so in
right.
2022, that's the mayoral race. You can vote the mayor and anyone else, but not the mayor.
Let me correct you there quick. In the spring of 2021 will be the mayor and city council. And then in 2022, the county attorney will be up.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sorry. Just
About
wanted
2
to
Oh, I,
years.
I appreciate
clarify
that.
that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, Pastor Hawkins, you had something to share.
Yeah, just another opportunity to encourage the people. Preston might be a little bit more of an expert on this than I am when it comes to what motivates African Americans or minorities to vote. And it seems to me that sometimes it is whatever the issue is that they deem to be most relevant that will cause an increase in voter turnout. And if something that they don't understand or they don't see the impact to their daily life, then there may not be as high of a motivation to get them to turn out to vote. And uh, in light of that, if that's the case, certainly the presidential election is one of those high motivators um, to vote. But I would argue the issue on payday lending and its impact upon the community, particularly those of lesser income, is a significant motivating reason to get out and vote. And the fact that we have to officially remove slavery as a punishment for crime is hard for me to wrap my hands around the fact that we have to do that. In my estimation, if there are people out there who haven't voted, I'm a sports fan, and I saw some of the stuff on with the NBA and one of the NBA shows, people were chiming in that I'm going to be voting for the first time, and the NBA Players Association guys said they had 90% of the people registered to vote, and I would submit on the local level, Amendment 1 and the one about the payday lending are major motivators for us to vote, as well as the national ones. And I just want to do my due diligence in taking this opportunity to encourage people. These things are important, and they affect our daily lives. That's all I really want to say.
And I think, Pastor, thank you for sharing that. I think this is a good segue in terms of just Preston Love. I mean, you've been really on this journey and this path in terms of human rights, civil rights, all rights, and being an author, being a professor, and founder of Black Votes Matter. What resonates with you in terms of this conversation, and especially the work that needs to get done that's in front of us right now?
Well, I think, first of all, I want to say that I apologize for dyeing my hair gray.
Good try.
But I guess where I've been articulating throughout this cycle, and I want to relate that to Pastor Hawkins's comments, that in this first of all, I voted in 1960 for the very first time. I voted for the Kennedys. And then we voted, and then voted again in the 90s for the Clintons, and then voted again, even though I voted in between there. But to show you my point is, I don't remember who I voted for. I remember Kennedy, I remember the Clintons, I remember 2008. Now, there's a message in there, and that is, I think this may be the most important election in my lifetime with the gray hair. And so, and then that is a dotted line to Pastor Hawkins. My study And my observation over the years is that two parts. The first part is going to shock you. The black folks vote at the same rate as white folks, with two big exceptions. I know I got your attention because that don't make no sense. We don't really. But there are two factors that bring us out. And without those two factors, we don't come out. I mean, we have a lot to do. Let me quickly give you quick numbers. In 2008, 62% of our people came out to vote. By the way, 72% in the county. So that's a 10% gap. But in 2008, 62% turnout. In 2012, 58% turnout.
Mm.
In 2016, 47% turnout.
Wow.
So now I return to your point, Pastor. In my observations and study, there's only two things that bring black folks out to vote above a very small, low turnout. And that both come under the category of emotion. Positive emotion or negative emotion. Without it, you can't get them out. And so sometimes if we try to manufacture some emotion, but it's hard to do that. In 2008, the positive emotion was all over the place. In 2020, it's going to be negative emotion. Black folks are going to vote like crazy. They're going to beat the 62%. By the way, I think Mr. Cruz is predicting 75% total turnout, somewhere in close to that. And I think we'll probably reach 65, maybe even 70% in the black community because of the negative emotion, and albeit respect to, well, there's really three parties, if I may say so, Brian. I don't know if you know that because you're just learning this game. But there's the Republicans and the Democrats and Trump. Those are the three parties. So what's going to bring out the African American vote in 2020 is the third party, Trump. We're going to vote because we want to get the rascal out of the White House. It's just that simple. The negative emotion of it all. And so, Pastor, in all due respect, I don't think that it's unfortunate that if something on the ballot is about slavery, we should be out. No, we unless we do a bang up job of really letting them know what's up. But they won't come out for that. They won't come out for some of the stuff. That's the whole point, is they ain't coming out for stuff we should come out for. But if we got the emotion in there, they'll come out. And that's the trick of getting the vote out, is capturing that emotion and turning it into vote by mail, register, and all this stuff. So we have that opportunity in this election to capture.
I mean, are you saying, Preston, that this is a perfect storm? We have.
Yes, I am saying that.
We have the emotion. We have
it. We have
the stick.
We have it. Yes.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to make you understand is nothing that you and I really can do to manufacture this emotion. If Brian were here, I'd say something else. But let me just say it anyway. If somebody, Brian, called a candidate by the N-word, we'll come out. That's negative emotion. We'll jump. And that's what happened in Alabama, by the way. There was a racist. And them black women got together and voted like crazy.
Yeah.
That's how Doug Jones got in there.
Mhm.
And what's happening down in South Carolina with Jamie Harrison, that's negative emotion coming out about Lindsay. It defies logic, but it will There's no getting around. I've watched it for all those years I mentioned. There's some reasons. We had minimum wage on the ballot. We had to vote like crazy on that. We didn't, we voted, but and so anyway, my point is that we have the perfect storm, as you put it, Tim, available on this election. And if I could just take 30 more seconds, there's a lot at stake, and I think it may be obvious, but the Supreme Court makeup and then the Supreme Court decisions are going to depend on who wins the third party, who wins the presidency. We may lose the Roe versus Wade. We may lose the affordable health care and all of its pieces. We just got all this time we've been pouring and crying and begging and demanding a Medicaid expansion in the state of Nebraska. We finally got it implemented in October, and we could lose it by the end of the year if this justice gets affirmed. That's what's at stake. And so we've got to try to do our best to emotionalize some of this things that are at stake with our community, and we can get them out better. But Trump is helping us do it. Every time he comes on TV and does something stupid, that helps our turnout. But if you just kind of leave it there, it'll happen, but not like we want. We got to capture that emotion and verbalize it from the pulpit in some cases without being too partisan and all of that. And so when I'm out speaking, I bring it on down because ain't nobody watching.
Yeah. I do got to make a little disclaimer.
Yeah.
In terms of just precedent, in terms of just your reference in terms of Trump, one of the things in terms of this platform, MP to Action, really, there's no getting around in terms of our intent. It is a platform to really, how do we strengthen the Black, the community, and really we welcome anyone that want to look at doing that in terms of Black Lives
Absolutely. And that's why I made the distinction between Democrats and Republicans. This is and let me just say, you bring me a Republican's going to work for our community, that's who I'm going to vote for. It ain't about that. I'm just saying a knucklehead is a knucklehead. Ain't no way to get it.
That's right.
And so I'm just saying there's a lot at stake.
It really is.
Brian, did you go over all the numbers in terms of how many ballots you've mailed out? 145,000?
Oh, yeah.
And
And Preston, let's bring in your friend. I want Jay Myers to weigh
we don't want Jay Myers to talk. Oh, no.
Because I know he's going to bring about the economics of it, okay? And Jay, I asked him to come on because we had a little sideline conversation, really about the economy and the economics, and so Jay, come weigh in on really some of that conversation, because that vote, what we choose to do in terms of just lifting our voice and making our vote, because vote really impacts a whole lot of things. Policy, bills, legislation, all those kind of things, all of the folks we put in office.
Right. Correct. So Tim and Jay, I'm gonna do a Kanye West real quick. Jay, I'm gonna let you talk. But Tim, I'm helping us be good stewards of our time. It's 8:44, so we've got 15 minutes or so here.
There you go.
So Jay, please go ahead and respond to that. And then Brian, also there was a question about Ubers and Lyfts. If they're offering free rides to the polls, but we'll let Jay go ahead and speak.
That's good, because Jay, Preston did take some of your time. Okay,
that's all right. Can you hear me?
And we ain't doing no debate stuff. We ain't doing. You can't call for no equal time, and you can get your time back and all that. Okay, it is what it is. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask for that. I'm just going to take the time I have. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Jay.
Okay. All right. So the vote is very important. The vote, we have to vote for our lives, period. Every vote that we get, local, regional, national, everyone needs to vote, because that, again, as Tim said, that affects policy. Policies affects communities. and drills down to individuals and businesses. So we must vote. Also, how do we become more powerful? How do communities become more powerful? We must use the leverage that we have. The leverage we have right now, nationwide, we have $1.1 trillion in spending power. We must use that to target the businesses that support what we want. We must use that to force businesses to support what we want. Also, we must use that buying power to buy from businesses in our own community. And then we need to use that money in from those businesses to invest in other businesses. You cannot have just having a strong voter community is not going to change where we're at right now. It's going to take multiple levels of things to change where we are in our communities right now. And if you listen to Claude Anderson, Dr. Claude Anderson, who's been saying this, and I have along with him, he's been saying it for 50 years. I've been saying it close to 40 years. We have to build a socio-economic infrastructure and leverage that socio-economic infrastructure to with a strong socio-economic infrastructure, we can use that to motivate the vote. Because we can pay people, we can bring people living conditions up so that they understand what the vote means in their community. Right now, there's apathy. Why? Because look at North Omaha. We have a desert in North Omaha. When I came into North Omaha, I was 5 years old. That was in 1967. North 24th Street was thriving. Why was it thriving? Because of the stockyard. No one in the Black community owned the stockyard though. No one in the Black community was an investor or a founder of anything in the stockyard. If we were, we may still have been able to transition into the new economy, and by using the money that was raised through that, the wealth that was raised. So again, my message is we need people like Preston, who has the 4 pillars through 4Urban. One of those 4 pillars is economics, but we also need to talk about health. We also need to talk about building communities. If we build our communities, and I know back in the past when we built communities, we got bombed, fire bombed, we got destroyed. But it's a different world today. We are stronger now in ways that I don't believe that if we do build a strong community, we're going to get firebombed again.
Yeah, and I think to your point, and Reverend Tony, I'll let you kind of summarize everything, but I just wanted to react to Jay's point in terms of the economics. And when you think about the power of the vote, when you think about the industry, the billions of dollars in terms of lobbyists, why is that industry so rich? Because it's trying to buy legislation, buy politicians, and because that's what controls these United States. So the opportunity to vote people in and out of office and to control the bills and the legislations that will get ridden, that's the power of that vote. And the economics, we got to be able to pay to play. And I think the failure of this country, when you look at Black Wall Street and other thriving Black community, it really has been a failure of the system of the federal government not protecting the people. And I think this whole economic strategy of an inside out approach versus the outside in, and my friend Robert Blackwell, he says, just do business. I mean, there's a lot that we can do ourselves that we will do, but also we have to be, as a country, be willing to do our part in terms of protect the people, accountability, fair treatment, all those kind of things. It's just, that's why the emotional part of what Preston's talking about when we see a George Floyd or police brutality or all of these injustice, that's the thing where you kind of like, when then people say, well, dang, what do you do about black on black crime? Come on, give me a break. I mean, do we, you know, we don't support black on black crime. It's the deep wounded of a system continuing to oppress and create situations of injustice. So I'm gonna stop on that one because it just gets very emotional about this whole thing, and I just think the power has always been in the people. It's always. Would you agree with that, Preston? We've always had the power.
And if I may, Pastor, I will only take 2 or 3 sentences to say it. To take Jay's point and put it in the real is the reason why our politicians are bought off, even our buddies, is because people bring money to the table in different ways. It's not a backroom deal in many cases, but they get bought off. But the answer to that, using Jay's point, is we have to build wealth in our own community so that our community takes care of our politicians. Not that they have to go out and be supported by the outside world that'll try to buy them off. And so if we got rich contractors and rich businessmen, African Americans, they'll support our politicians and they won't be bought off. So the answer is build a wealth in the businesses. That's what Jay's trying to do.
Yeah.
Right on.
Well, listen, gentlemen, it has been absolutely, it's so informative tonight, and we've had some great discussion. We are down to the last 8 minutes of our time. And so I want to give Pastor Hawkins 1 minute, Brian Cruz 1 minute, Jay Myers 1 minute, Preston Love. We're gonna give you
30
2 minutes.
seconds.
We're gonna give Preston so 2 minutes here.
About a microphone with Preston. Okay, he may sing you a song.
Right. So and so unless Tim vetoes me. Unless he vetoes me, we're gonna give Preston 2 minutes because one, he's a senior, most senior person.
Oh my goodness!
Thank you for saying
but
that, Tony, because he is the most senior.
He is the most senior, and he dyed his hair for this special occasion. So
yes, he did.
So now listen. Unlike the debates last night and unlike the debates last week, 1 minute means 1 minute. So I'm gonna turn my stopwatch on, and we've got Raheem and the whole crew. Hey, once we get to 1 minute, please mute their microphones because we're not
there you go. I can't hear you. Can't hear you.
So all right. So I'm hitting my stop clock now. Pastor Hawkins, 1 minute. Closing
Mr.
remarks.
Moderator.
All right.
It's just a pleasure to be on with all of these wonderful people. I just want to encourage us that there are multiple fronts that we have to work on at the same time. The church has a role, economics has a role, the vote has a role, being a productive citizen has a role. And when we don't put one another's roles down to elevate ours, then we put ourselves in the best position to make the most advantage for our community. And the thing that's before us right now is the vote. And so let's get out to vote, and we can mobilize and strategize on these other things as well. So thank you.
Right on.
He did that in 55 seconds. That's what I'm talking about. Don't ever make those jokes again about a Baptist preacher not hearing the time.
That's right.
That is true.
I want to ask, every time someone goes under the minute, do I add that to mine?
All right, Brian, we're going to give you a minute, but before your time starts, if you could answer the question Lisa Frick had as relates to Uber and Lyft, and then we'll start your time.
So From the research we've been doing, it does appear as if the Uber and Lyft will give free and or reduced rides to the polls. Now, one of the other things that is actually on my list to start working on Monday is in 2016, Kurt Simon was the executive director of the Metro Area Transit here in Omaha, the city buses, and they provided free transportation to the polling places on election day. Now, I'm pretty sure they have a new executive director. And so I can't make any guarantees, obviously, because I don't run the bus company. But we're going to reach out to, I still call it Metro. I'm not sure what the official name is, but we're going to reach out and see if they're willing to do that again this year for the community of Omaha.
That would be nice.
Sounds good. And I believe some churches are also providing ride shares and those type of things. So check with New Era Baptist Convention. Also check with IMA and any other group of clergy. All right, Brian, your 1 minute starts now. Closing remarks and comments.
Well, I'd just like to thank you for inviting me tonight, and I would like to thank the partnerships that we have across the county, but especially in North Omaha and in Ward 2. We're a nonpartisan office. We strive very hard to be nonpartisan, but more importantly, I just strive to let the voters know we're here to serve them. We're here to serve them. We're here to serve them in a professional and a courteous manner. We work for them. And there's a lot of information on our website. If you just go to votedouglascounty.com, we redid it last year. It's very easy to navigate. If you have trouble finding something, or if you don't have access to the internet for some reason, please just call our office at 444-VOTE. And the last thing I'd like to leave voters with is there's 3 ways they can vote. They can vote by mail, they can vote in person at our office, they can vote at their neighborhood polling place, and they can be assured all 3 will be safe and secure, and their vote does count. And when they cast their vote, it truly is democracy in action.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Brian. All right. Jay Myers.
How much time did he use?
He did a minute and 22 seconds.
That's what I thought.
Sorry.
Now, come on, Pastor. Now, come on, Rev.
Sorry, Preston. I took some of your time.
Come on. I appreciate that, Hawkins, keeping him honest. Okay?
Well, I thought he was taking Pastor Hawkins' few moments there, his few extra seconds. All right, Jay Myers is on you, sir.
Don't worry, I'll be short. Vote, vote, vote. Let's create 5 millionaires in the next 10 years. And let's collaborate. We have to work together to build the communities that we want. That's all I have to say.
Right on.
Thank you, sir. I feel like that may have worked against us because now Preston would definitely try to take those extra 60 seconds that Jay left, or 40 seconds that Jay left. All right. Preston Love, go ahead and bring us home. It's 8:58, sir. So if you could stay within the time frame.
I surely will.
Right.
I want to take 30 seconds of my time to say that, Brian, we worked with your predecessor, and he was horrible. And it's been a breath of fresh air ever since you hit the floor. You've been working with the community in many ways. It's a pleasure to work with you. Thank you for your service. Number one. Number two, I want to say that one of your own in North Omaha is a candidate for the United States Senate. And I say that respectfully for the office and the fact that don't miss the point. You got someone from your own community running from the United States Senate. It's not a usual situation. Thirdly, I would like to say that I hope that all of the North Omaha and all of your audience, if you're beyond North Omaha, understand that there's so much at stake. There's racism at stake. There's the affordable health care at stake. There is Roe versus Wade is at stake. There is change and reform is at stake. Don't just sit back. This is the most important election in your lifetime. Handle your business.
Well said. Well said.
Vote
Our
Omaha
democracy,
forever.
our democracy is at stake. All right. So Tim, we are at our time. I do want to echo sentiments of Preston Love. Brian, I was going to say that Preston stole my thunder. We are very appreciative to your labor and your transparency. And when I was president of IMA, was around the same time that I believe you took office, and you were just there to make certain that all those issues that Preston referenced from your predecessor were addressed and corrected. And we just appreciate your professionalism, your staff, and all of that. So thank you, sir. Job well done. We hope that you continue to do this for years to come. Tim, I defer to you, sir.
Hey, I just real quick, and then you can go ahead and close us out. But I just wanted to just thank everyone, but also I want to let you know that this platform, Moving People to Action, be looking out for our membership. We're going to create a membership tab where you can say, hey, the people are rising. You got to really mobilize a pool of people that's going to do the work, right? And so we will be looking at adding on a membership, individual and organizational membership to this platform in terms of, and that really is all in this whole movement to do the work and mobilize people to do that work. So be looking out for that. COVID-19 is real. As we're seeing in Nebraska, the numbers were in the red. Those numbers are going up. This is nothing to play with. And so mask, social distancing, tests, get your test. If you have not taken a flu shot, get your flu shot. We know in the Black community with the number of pre-medical conditions that we're at a higher risk. Do not play with this. And if you're not going to wear a mask for you, wear it for the person that's in front of you. It really is to protect them. So let's honor that and let's do that and be about the business of trying to save our loved ones and the lives of people around us. A really serious business there. With that, Pastor Tony Sanders, if you want, I want to thank Jessica and Raheem, our behind the scene production team. I want to thank them and our sponsors. We just can't get this done by ourselves. It takes a village. And if you have interest in learning how to take part in this and be a part of this, please contact us. And most of all, go to our social media page, like our page, Moving People to Action. Like our page, visit our website page, so we can kind of do the kind of things to help move and really lift this platform of the people are rising, moving people to action. And we talked about a lot of things, but at the end of the day, the change that we want, we desire, we must look at ourselves in the mirror and be that change. North Omaha is because of who we are. We have to choose to do something and be something different. And just like we put elected officials in office, mayor, city council, county commissioners, I don't care who it is, we must hold each other accountable. We must hold each other accountable. And Rev, that's all. I'm out. If I had a microphone, I would drop it. Okay.
Hey, that was all good stuff. And you know what? Tim is the boss. I was trying to hold everyone accountable. He went over. So Jessica would get on him. All right.
Killing my
just
ears.
so long as it's known that it wasn't the preacher.
Right. That's right. All right, guys. Thank you all once again. We appreciate it. We are going to close out because I don't want to be blamed for extending our time past our time. Thank you so much. Please tune in to the next Moving People to Action. Please go vote. Take care.
Go vote.
Like crazy.
Vote.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Vote.
All right.